showtime. Show everyone how amazing you are.
You guys, Truffle is a lot more shy than I thought he would be.
Are you shy? Show the world the trick I taught you. Give me a paw. Yeah!
He literally looks like he's working in a lab and everything just exploded. Hey guys, it's your girl Vanessa Samino. Welcome back to my channel and thank you guys all for tuning in again. So you guys, today I have next week's reading for you. So you guys, I hope you're prepared for these unexpected things next week. Well, no, obviously you're not. I want to prepare you guys for these unexpected things happening in your life next week. So I want you to pick one of the 3 groups that I have prepared for you intuitively. Just let your intuition guide you to make the right decision for you. You guys, let me know down below if you like 3 groups, 4 groups, or 5 groups. I'm never sure how many groups to make. Usually I just do 4 because it's like a nice round number. So yeah, you guys, I want to keep the intro very short and to the point. Let's get straight into the readings. So I'd like to welcome you to today's reading. We have a group number 1, group number 2, and group number 3. So you guys, I want you to pick very intuitively, so whatever your first thought is with the cards, go with that thought. The timestamps will be down below, so you can just click them in the description box to fast forward to your personal reading. So I'm going to start off with group number 1. Okay, group number 1, let's see what unexpected things are happening for you next week. So we have the Fire Guardian. So instinctively I asked myself, you know, are you of a fire element? Is that maybe why you chose this card? That could be the case, but it doesn't have to. However, what I see is that it's important for you to dip into your creative side again and to ignite sort of like this passionate fire. So I feel like you haven't had that feeling in a long time. And this may be especially true if you're in a long-term relationship. You may sort of like let the passion die down a little bit, and it's time to be a little bit more creative. So that is something that I feel like you need to tap into next week, because there wouldn't be any other reason why the Fire Guardian would have come up in your reading. But also what I see in the Fire Guardian is that you're ready for it. So the Fire Guardian shows me that you are someone who can be very spontaneous. You are someone who is very creative, but I feel like why the Fire Guardian is showing up is because you haven't tapped into it in a long time. So next week is a great week for creative ventures, and it's also a time for you to just follow your intuition. You know, if you feel like you want to paint a painting, but you think like, oh, you know, I don't have all of the colors that I want, I don't have nice paper or whatever, just make use of what you have in your home. You know, if you've always wanted to dance or sing again, but you somehow like you feel like you can never find the right moment to do those things, remember, life isn't about just waiting for the perfect moment and doing things then. Life is about just living it. Life is about just going out and doing it. So turn on some karaoke version on YouTube and sing to it. Just crank up the music and dance to it. If you feel like you want to do something very creative with your hands, you know, just start. Things don't need to be perfect, and that is something that I want you to keep in mind for next week. Then in the She-Wolf, I see that it's important for you to sort of release your wild side. So together with the Fire Guardian, I feel that maybe on a sexual level you have sort of like let things sort of die down a little bit. You're not as adventurous as you used to be, or you haven't really tried anything new. So I feel like next week is a great time for you to keep that in mind and, you know, just to try new things. And I feel like also with your relationships, I feel like you should do different things with different people, things that you usually don't do with that person, because I feel like that may really widen your horizon and also strengthen your relationship in a way that you didn't know it could be strengthened. If you usually just invite your friend over, you know, just to watch series, or you just take your friend out for lunch usually, why don't you for a change do something that you usually would not do? Why don't you go for a long hike to somewhere? That will sort of spark new depth in your conversation and new depth in relationships. So I see that it's important for you to connect with the nature, so that's why I said, oh, maybe go for a hike or a walk, do something like that, because it's important to always sort of touch base with nature and keep connecting sort of with nature. So it can be difficult in a world that is so filled with electronic devices and social media, but remember that connecting with nature and getting out there can really work wonders for you personally and also for the relationships in your life. So that is something that I see you needing to look into next week. Then we have the Hermit. So I see that next week is a great time for you to recharge, is a great time for you to sort of just retreat and step away from the hustle and bustle just for a short amount of time. I mean, I know that it's holiday season. I know things are really busy now leading up to Christmas at least, but still you need to take time to meditate. So if you're already into meditation, I advise you to maybe go for a little bit of a longer session. If you have never meditated before or you don't really have experience in it, I advise you to download this app. It's called Calm, and this is not sponsored. This is just an app that I pay for with my own money. I really love it, okay? And it's really an app that I can recommend to you guys, and it has a lot of great meditation sessions on it. You can do 5-minute sessions, 10-minute, 20-minute, whatever suits you and your personal needs and just however you feel that day. There is like a meditation session on there that will suit that. There are also tons of free meditation sessions here on YouTube, so feel free to look into that and make sure that you focus on that next week. Focus on really retreating and finding an inner sort of peace and an inner calm. Then we have the Dragonfly. So I see that it's important for you to really live life in the moment, because I feel like you haven't been doing that recently as much. That's why the Fire Guardian and the She-Wolf has come up in your reading. I feel like you've really been lacking sort of that living in the moment sort of vibe to you. I feel like everything is sort of just you planning ahead for the future, or you sort of thinking about the past. But you know, the only moment that you really have is now, and you don't know if tomorrow is promised. There's nothing you can do about the past. So make sure that you focus on the now, and that make sure that you do that by meditating and sort of just retreating and recharging. I'm pretty sure the Hermit in correlation with the Dragonfly is just sending you a very clear message that you really need to be in the now, and in order to do that, maybe look into meditating. Then we have Knowledge. So I see that maybe you sort of felt like there's an area in your life that you sort of know all about, and I'm not saying you're someone who just doesn't like to learn. See, I do see that you're someone who likes to learn new things and who's interested in new things, but I feel like it's important for you to widen your horizon and also your knowledge. So I feel like there's maybe something that you wanted to learn about for a long time. So there's this topic, for instance, I don't know, about dolphins or about meditation or about positivity, and you wanted to look into it a lot more and learn a lot more about a certain topic, and you haven't got around to it. So I see that next week it would be great for you to do that, and I feel like in correlation with the Hermit, I feel like it would be great for you to just take time to retreat and maybe just read that book that you started and never finished, or research a topic that has been on your mind for a long time that you're actually interested in and you want to know more about, but you haven't gotten around to it. So I feel like if you do that next week, it will really work wonders for your work-life balance, because I see that a lot of your reading is just basically about you balancing your personal life, which leads me to think that maybe your work-life balance is a little bit off. And of course that's, you know, never good. It's going to wear you thin, you know, as time goes on. So make sure that you bring your life back into balance. Then we have Confrontation. So I feel like Confrontation goes really well with your reading. Okay, I feel like this reading is sort of like your confrontation for next week. I feel like I am here to confront you with the fact that you haven't been taking time to retreat. You haven't been taking time to live in the moment and to follow your passion, and you know, also to just research and broaden your horizon. So it's important for you to know which battles are worth fighting, but the battle for your mental health and your emotional well-being is always worth fighting. So never give up on that, and never feel like, you know, oh, I'll do it later, or I'm fine for now, I can still push through. It's important for you to take time to recharge so that you don't get to a point of no return, so that you don't burn out. So that is what I see for you for next week. All right, group number 2. Let's see what next week has in stock for you. So instinctively, I see that it's important for you to surround yourself with protective energy. So the arrow is telling me that you need to point all of your forces and all of your passion in one direction, okay? Because I see that there may be something that could deter you from where you're going, and you want to make sure that you do not let that happen. So I see that you're someone who is very goal-focused and goal-oriented, which is great, but you also can get distracted very easily, and especially now with the hustle and bustle of like the festive season, it's important for you to stay very focused and also be aware of your surroundings. So the arrow may have showed up because there may be someone in your close surroundings who has gotten close to you. Okay, this person is not close to you for a long time, who has gotten close to you as of recently, and I see that maybe there are some sort of like false friends near you. So this doesn't need to be some close friend. This could also be someone you work with, someone you study with. And I feel like it's important for you to protect yourself and to make sure that no one sort of puts like little negative thoughts into your head that deter you from where you're going. You know where you're going, and as long as you have love for it, as long as you have passion and drive, and that is something that I have learned as a business owner, as long as you're passionate about something, you're gonna get there. But I also know that it's so easy to sort of get deterred by people just talking crap in your ear, by just people who are not supportive, who are negative personalities, and you want to make sure that you surround yourself with protective energy. So that is what I see that you need to look out for next week. Then we have the eagle. So I find that the eagle goes really well with the arrow. So I see in the eagle that it's important for you to see things from the bigger perspective, from the higher perspective. So the eagle is an animal with amazing vision, okay? The eagle can see from a very like wide range because he's up in the air. He can also see tiny details, okay? Because eagles do go for animals such as, you know, mice, rabbits, etc. So that is what I want you to have for next week. So I want you to adapt from the eagle's abilities and use those abilities for next week. So I feel like maybe you have either been seeing too much of a very broad picture, or you've been really nitpicking tiny details recently. And I see that in order for you to move forward and in order for you to reach the next steps in your career and just your life in general, it's important for you to step away and see things from a higher perspective. If you've been very emotional recently too, it's important for you to just step back and just see things with a very like calm, clear vision. So make sure that you always give yourself that. And especially next week, I see that your spirits are emphasizing on you to just take a step back, see things from a wider, more whole perspective. Then we have the Shield Maiden. So I see that it's important for you to really focus and zoom in on the sort of plans that you've made, or if you haven't made plans, say for next year or the next upcoming weeks, if everything is still sort of vague. And you know, that could be Christmas presents, it could be what you're doing for your break, it could be how you're starting your next year. I see that next week is a great time to make plans. And also you guys, this weekend is a new moon, okay? So if you're watching this on the weekend, we just had a new moon. There is amazing energy in the air for new moon wishes and also for setting great intentions. So make sure that you do that. Make sure you plan. Maybe get yourself a journal or get a journal out that you haven't used in a long time and just write down, you know, goals that you want to achieve. Write down when you want to achieve them. And also, you know, just give yourself a little bit of time to just focus on goals that you have for yourself on an emotional level, on a mental level. You know, where do you want to be in the next month, in the next 3 months, by the end of next year? So give yourself time to think about that. Then we have the unicorn. So I see that it's important for you to be open to serendipity and also to invite it in. So I feel like maybe you've been a little bit closed off, or recently a lot of things have not been going the way you want them to go, and it sort of has brought you into this mindset where you feel like, oh my god, like things just always go wrong for me, don't they? So I want you to step away from that mindset. The universe does not understand phrases such as, I wish things weren't horrible in my life. The universe just sees like, oh, horrible, my life. So, you know, the universe is going to push more negative things into your life. So just make sure that you give yourself affirmations such as, wow, my life is amazing, or my life is positive. That way the universe can see, oh, my life positive. So, you know, do you guys know what I mean, or am I talking really weirdly right now? I think you guys know what I mean. So make sure that you put positive energy out there, and don't even think of words such as, you know, unlucky or things aren't going well. Don't even put those in a sentence. Just think to yourself, things are getting better, things are being more positive, and I am gonna reach my end goal. So make sure that you invite serendipity in like that. Make sure that you're putting out the right vibration, because sometimes we feel like we're doing the best we can, or sometimes we feel like we're putting out positive vibes, but when you really dissect the words and sort of the word order that you put things in, you're not actually putting positivity out. So make sure that you watch out for that next week, and that you really reevaluate if you have been practicing positive thoughts and positive affirmations, or if you just thought you were, but really you weren't. So look out for that next week. Okay, then we have creative wonderment. So I see that it's important for you to follow your passion next week. So I sort of feel maybe your passion does not lie in your work. So if that is true, then make sure that you pick it back up, and make sure that you really think of how you can maybe turn your passion into your work, or how you can incorporate your passion into your work. And I see that it's also important for you to just focus on yourself. Okay, the Shield Maiden is telling me that. It's important for you to just focus and don't look around you too much, okay? It can be really daunting when you see other people on social media, or other people's creative work, or just generally if you compare where you want to be with where some other people seemingly are. It can be really, really intimidating and make you feel like, oh my god, I don't even know where to stand. I don't even know where to start. How will I ever compete with these people? So make sure that you don't do that, and make sure that any creative ideas that you have, that you give them life, and that you follow through with them, and that you see things from a bigger perspective. All of these big brands, big companies, or people who have made a name for themselves, a lot of them started from nothing. A lot of them started exactly from where you are, and you know, they had to just figure things out. So a lot of times you don't see what goes on behind the scenes, and all of the sort of ups and downs that happen, especially in creative ventures. So make sure that if you're looking to tap into your creativity anytime soon, or you know, next week, that you make sure that you're not too hard on yourself. Then we have potential. So alongside with, you know, you tapping into your creativity, I think it's very important for you to remember that you have great potential. Your life is full of potential. You know, if you're watching this video, you're one of the more fortunate people in this world. You know, you have the luxury where you have electronic devices and internet connection, and you can make it a priority in your life to watch videos to better yourself. A lot of people in this world are wondering, you know, where they're gonna get their next meal from, or how they're gonna have fresh water to drink. So make sure that you remember that you have a lot of potential, and that you do already have a lot of sort of greatness in your life. And make sure that you think big. You know, a lot of people started below you. A lot of people started from a worse place than you're starting off, and they've made it to such like a crazy height. So what makes you think that you can't do the same? You have all of the potential in the world, and I find it very important for you to think big for your future, especially when you're looking at 2019. Set your goals really high, because even if you don't reach that super high goal, there's still another year, you know, there's still more time to come. And make sure that you don't sort of undervalue yourself, and that you don't underestimate yourself. See all of the potential that your life has. So make sure that from next week on, you start planning on how you're going to reach your highest potential. Okay, group number 3. Let's see what next week has in stock for you. So we have the Trader. So I see that it's important for you to swap energies next week, okay? And what I mean by swapping energies is, I mean any little source of energy that you have that you feel is not in alignment with where you want to be, that's not on a very high vibrational level, you need to start swapping those out next week, okay? I see that that is very important for you, because I feel like maybe there have been some lower vibrations that have snuck in these past couple weeks, okay? Maybe there are some parts of you that are not on sort of like the energy level that you want it to be. And it's important for you to just take things very lightly, okay? Don't see this as a very lengthy or strenuous process. All you need to do is just work on your mindset, you know, work on your vibrations, and make sure that whenever you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, I don't really like that about myself, or you look into your phone and you're like, oh, I kind of wish that I was where that person is right now, or I wish I was as successful, just think to yourself, no, you know, I will not allow that energy. I swap that for a different sort of energy. Make sure that you swap all of those little nitpicky thoughts to, you know what, actually I feel my hair looks good today, or actually my eyes are really beautiful. Actually, my life is amazing. So make sure that you swap any sort of negative thoughts, any sort of negative energy that sometimes just seeps through into your life without you even really noticing. Make sure that you swap that out for positivity, and make sure that you notice whenever you have those little thoughts of self-doubt, you know, because they can really turn into bigger things. But you're not gonna let that happen, because you picked this reading for a reason, and I'm telling you to call out those little negative thoughts next week. Then we have the Sage. So I see that it's important for you to really devote your time to something and show more commitment. So, you know, I feel like it is the festive season and we're all very busy, okay? We all have a lot to do, but I feel like you've somehow been lacking devotion and commitment at some point in your life. So I feel like maybe that could be in a relationship, because that is often what suffers, you know, when you're lacking devotion and commitment. It's often our relationships, because we're so focused on our work, on our school, on whatever it is that we're doing business-wise. And I feel like it's important for you to look around and remember that it's important to devote time to the people that you love, and also show them that you're committed. So that is especially if you are in a committed relationship. It's important for you to still show that person every day that you care about them, that you love them, and that you're there for them. And if you're not in a relationship, be devoted to yourself, be committed to yourself, be committed to only feeding yourself with the best foods, be committed to treating yourself with kindness and respect, and also exchanging any sort of negative energy for positive energy. So make sure that you give yourself that devotion and commitment, and start next week. You know what I mean? Like, call out those little negative thoughts, those little low vibrations that are trying to party along with the high vibrations in your life. Call them out and be like, hey, like, what are you doing here? Like, get out of here, okay? So that is what I see you needing to do next week. Then we have the Knight. So I see that it's important for you to be very honest, okay? So I feel like maybe you have not been completely honest with someone in your life, or you haven't been completely honest about something that's happening in your life. So I feel like now's the time to come clean. So I can't tell what it is that you're not honest about, but you know, whenever you're not saying something, whenever you're somehow hiding something from someone who's close to you, that's because you're scared. You know, it's fear. If not, you would just say it. But I see that it's important next week to tap into the brave side of you. I see that it's important for you to be brave again and just be honest. You know, if there's something that's bothering you in one of your relationships, or you're talking to someone and they're just basically saying, oh, I just want to go with the flow, like, be brave to alienate that person and just be like, actually, I don't want to go with the flow. Actually, I would like to know what we're doing. I would like to know whether, you know, you see a future with me, or whether I'm just wasting my time here. So be honest and be afraid, and come forward with your feelings, because that way you can save yourself, you know, someone wasting your time. You can save your time being wasted, because we only have a limited and finite amount of time in this world. You want to make sure that you spend it with the right people, and you don't waste it on people who, you know, just want to play games and just want to be there temporarily. So be honest, be brave, say what you want, and make sure you get those answers that you need. Then we have the Owl. So I see that it's important for you next week to follow your intuition, and I feel like that may have to do with the Knight, okay? I feel like maybe you have not been following your intuition, even though you can feel that there is a relationship that is sort of on the wonky and unstable side. So make sure that you follow your intuition and don't doubt it. You know, your intuition is here for a reason. Animals still use it to this day. They survive for years and years and years in the wilderness. And also as humans, you know, we had to rely on our intuition for the longest amount of time, you know, for thousands of years. So what makes you doubt that intuition that even brought humanity to this point in the first place? You know, make sure that you remember that intuition is something very strong and very powerful. And just because in today's society being intuitive isn't as valued as it once was, doesn't mean that you should discredit your intuition. So make sure that you give it the credit it deserves, and that you listen to it, that you make the most of your intuition. Then we have resilience. So I see that next week it's important for you to be resilient for whatever reason, and I feel like that may also be because you are being brave and honest. I feel like that may sort of cost that extra resilience out of you, just because you know, you may not get the answer that you want from that person, or you may sort of alienate people in your life, and you know, that's fine. You need to rise above those tribulations. The people who are meant to stay will stay with you through the good times and the bad times. They will stay with you even if you tell them, hey, actually I would rather our relationship be like this instead of that. So make sure that you know that resilience is something also that you can learn. Okay, so I see that if you're devoted and committed to yourself and growing, as well as exchanging any sort of negative thoughts for only positive thoughts, I see that that will really help you build resilience, because you'll know exactly how to rise above tribulations, and you'll also know that, you know, feelings are just feelings, and while they can have a really big negative impact on your life, they can also have a very positive impact on your life. So remember that mental strength is something that is very much undervalued in today's society as well, but that you can accomplish so much just by being strong and by being brave. So make sure that you train that part of yourself mentally, that you train that emotional aspect of resilience, because I see that that will really be helpful for you in the future, and it'll help you along the way if there are any sort of setbacks in your life, and also, you know, disappointments. So make sure that you focus on building that strong side of you up, because it may come in handy in the future. Then we have money. So this is an amazing card at this time of the year because we're all spending way too much money. So yeah, I'm really glad that you picked this card at this time in the year in particular, because I see that you will find a way to abundance. And you know, even if that doesn't mean like an instant sort of cash flow, I see that you're going to find a new way to make more money. So that could either be in the next year, that could also be, you know, right now. I see that you will find sort of, there will be an idea that pops into your head next week that will make you think, actually I could make a living like this, or I could make extra cash like this. So make sure that you really focus on that idea and make sure that you write it down, because I see that it will come in handy very soon. And I see that with you just following your intuition and doing what is best for you, I feel like there will be a lot more financial abundance in your life in the near future. But for next week, I see the first step which is showing up, and that is just your ideas. So make sure that you don't discredit any of your ideas, and that make sure that you keep a mindset of abundance. Make sure that you don't let thoughts of, you know, there are too many other people doing this, make sure that you don't let them stand in your way. Make sure that you keep faith in your ideas of, you know, finding your way to more financial abundance. So that is what I deem is very important for you for next week. Okay, you guys, that was it for today's reading. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, do not forget to give this reading a big old thumbs up. And also, if you're new to my channel, do not forget to subscribe for future readings. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Have an amazing, positive day.